Well, I want to present another type of concept here because, a lot of times when things are attacked, I don't think the defenders are defending things in the right way. I'm specifically talking about the Confederate flag or the flag of the Southern states or the Confederate battle flag or whatever. But first, let's talk about why they have an X on the flag. And I'm going to tell you a couple other things because this has all been conditioning on the public, especially in a high and mighty North. But then again, not everybody in the North thinks the same way. As you could tell, I'm actually a Yankee by born and bred, and I have Southern lineage, though, on one side of my parentage. But, this never really bothered me until they try to say, you can't do this, or Amazon isn't going to sell it, Google Stores isn't going to sell Confederate flags, or Walmart's not going to sell them, Sears is not going to sell them, eBay's not allowed to have them, and they're not allowed to be imported from China and put on eBay. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Bullshit. Okay, anyway, so this was the cross of St. Andrew, right? Cross of St. Andrew goes back to the apostle St. Andrew, who said he was not worthy to be crucified like Jesus. So he asked to be crucified on a cross like an X. That's exactly what it means. It's really kind of a religious symbol. But considering that the Confederate flag is no longer associated with any political organization anymore, it's really an historical symbol, but it has two sides where it comes from. Religion, or of the cross of St. Andrew, which we can see it's embedded in. That's exactly what that symbol means, the X. This is the one for Scotland. The cross, or you just call this the plain cross of St. Andrew. A lot of times it's a blue background with a white X. Here you have the Florida state flag. Now, some people mistakenly think this has to do with the Confederacy. No, it goes back to the Spanish rule from the 1500s. The Florida flag was a red X annotating or connotating that it was the cross of St. Andrew. It goes back to the Spanish rule in the 1500s. And in the Great Seal of the state of Florida, it has also the words, "In God We Trust." Oh, boy, that Obama probably hates that right there when you mention God, even though he's Muslim, right? Or what does he mean? We're supposed to say, "In Allah we trust," because he's a dictator. But it also has a pictorial of the Seminole Indians. The Seminole Indians. Who actually, if you want to take a little note on that, the Seminole Indians were one of the, well, I don't want to say anything bad here, but I'm just trying to tell you what they used to call it. One of the 5 civilized Indian tribes. The Seminole Indians were really, kind of like, they got screwed over. That's something else. It's another story. But the Seminole Indians, I got a very high opinion of. But that's on the Florida state flag, along with the "In God We Trust" and the cross of St. Andrew. It has nothing to do with, hey, we're out here to rebel or something. No, that doesn't mean that. Now, here you have the actual Scottish flag. Again, the white cross with the blue background. That's exact. And a lot of people in the South were of Scottish ancestry, too. That was another thing. So when they went ahead and they adopted a flag that would be, represent the Confederate States of America, they looked at, hey, look, the American flag, red, white, and blue. We got stripes, we got stars, and we have we got to make something different to differentiate us, because when they fought on the battlefields, the flag was the rallying point for the troops. It told people where to go, where their units were. It was very hard to because the early flags were very hard to differentiate between at a distance. The smoke and the heat of battle between the American flag and the original Confederate flag. But what happened today, now, in recent years, since we've had media blitzes, it's like Pavlov's dogs. People who see the Confederate flag, they are immediately conditioned to think it's a racist hate symbol because of all the propaganda that's been put out on the airwaves. Now, of course, there is some people that are racist that are associated with that flag. But I can also tell you this. There are races that are associated with every freaking flag that's out there that's in the entire world, because you could always pick somebody out in that group. If you want to focus on that group, you can make an association like you're doing, where ringing the bell, seeing the flag, means, oh, wait a minute, that person must be a racist. It's the same type of conditioning, and people have been conditioned and conditioned and conditioned over and over and over again through the American media owned by the big corporations who have political agendas to make people think the Confederate flag is some kind of hate symbol. I shouldn't even freaking be saying that, because it's almost like I have to be on the defensive a little bit here, but I'm telling you that you could make anything a hate symbol by associating whatever group of people you want to put out there in the media as much as possible. Like, for instance, some things could be very obvious. They've done things under the Christian cross. They've done things under Islamic, obviously. They've done things under various religious symbols. You name it. It's been done throughout history. So here we have the Confederate flag, and you see it's the cross of St. Andrew with the red, white, and blue. Now, this is a little bit distorted because I guess the picture is a little bit oblong or something, but you get the idea that it's a red, white, and blue flag, which is, United States of America with the stars, and it represents, you got the stars in, as we have on the U.S. flag, and it has the cross of St. Andrew, which is partly Scottish heritage, but it's not just all Scottish heritage. The Russian Navy ensigns even had the cross of St. Andrew on it, still do to this day, and some functions they still have that. It's all over. It's and like I said, it's not anything to do with even like when you're talking like the state of Florida, which was a state that broke away from the Union, or said to hell with the freaking Union cotton tax. They basically had that flag since the Spanish rule. It's a cross of St. Andrew. That's what the heck it is. And people in the South, they don't think of it today like, I'm going to rebel against the Union or something. They think of it, people in the South generally are far more patriotic than a lot of people I see in the North. And being that I have experienced both areas for many years and seen what Southerners are like and what Northerners are like. And yes, I know Northerners are very patriotic too, but it's like people, I think, in the South are even more patriotic in a lot of ways. I don't know, it's just my opinion. But people in the South who fly this flag, they fly it in conjunction with being pro-USA. They're not anti-USA at all. It has anything to do with it. What it really is, it's a demographic and cultural symbol of the South. That's really what it is. It's not even so much. It used to be a political symbol. It used to be a battle symbol, and you could say it's an historical symbol. But primarily, it's not even an historical symbol. Primarily, it's a cultural and regional symbol. But the problem is conditioning on the media and conditioning by everybody that is in power, that is the man, that is, or the woman, that is putting down all the freaking rules, that know everything, that wants you to think a certain way. They have you conditioned to hate this. Now, I'm going to tell you why they think they really don't want you, to adopt this symbol, where they have the elite have a hatred of this symbol. The South actually rebelled, not be due to the reasons, they put in the textbooks about slavery. They rebelled over taxes. The slavery issue was a total non-political issue on the presidential ticket. And the slavery issue, as far as the states in the South went, it was an issue in new states that could be brought into the Union, but it was no president ran on an anti-slavery stance. What happened was Abe Lincoln and the South said, if this guy gets in, we're getting out. We're done with this. He was going to raise the tariff on cotton to over 250%, which they did even before he was inaugurated, because the South decided to say, we're booking, we're out of here, we're not even going to be in Congress. He raised the tariff on cotton 250%, plus added a number of other agricultural staples and goods to the the tariffs, the tax rolls. And part of it was, I think, well, I'm not saying I think, I know, was partly because the government was in the red, not as bad as they are today, but due to the Panic of 1857, which had a lot to do with there was a slowdown in Western movement, basically almost like real estate and housing collapse in the West. Part of the things that was fueling people going out to the West was the gold boom, the cheap land, and all this kind of stuff. And when there's a boom, there's a bust. So there was a lot of speculation on what the land values were. There was a lot of loans to the Westerners and farmers. And what happened was there was also a lot of investment in the trains and transportation of goods going west and people going west. And when everything kind of slowed down, it's boom and bust, just like with real estate and just like with any kind of market, what happened was there was a big bust in Wall Street, which actually all affected the government. There was less money coming in through taxes because everything was slowing down. Now, the thing is, Wall Street tried to get a gold shipment to help their cash flow, and it was being shipped on the United States ship called USS Central America. What the heck was it again? 30,000 pounds of gold, I believe it was. And it sunk, I think it was 30,000. If it wasn't 30,000, it was 20,000 pounds. Doing this from memory now. It sunk in a hurricane off the Carolinas. So they desperately needed that shipment. There was no electronic, hey, transfer the funds over the wire, They couldn't do that. They had to ship actual gold. And the ship sunk. And actually, that money, they found that just a couple years ago. They found the money, and there's big disputes going on, even in 2015, about that gold. About various things. It's a whole other story. But what happened is, that caused, more problems in Wall Street, which caused more problems in the government itself, the United States, where they needed money. So, as usual, they wanted to pick on the South and have them pay the tab. So raise the taxes over 2.5 times on cotton, and also add a bunch of other agricultural products to the grain, to the tax roll. So the South said, forget it, because that's what Abe Lincoln was running on. Now, Abe Lincoln, actually, when he, see a lot of people see Abe Lincoln as, oh yeah, he's the guy that freed the slaves. Yeah, he didn't free any slaves except after a couple years of people in the North not wanting to fight against the South, or what is it, a couple years a year. He wanted to try to get people on the side of the Union cause. But he didn't free one slave in the states he had control of. As a matter of fact, Delaware was the last state to free slaves. It was actually, I think, a couple years after the end of the war between the states, the Civil War, or the War of Northern Aggression, or whatever you want to call it. So everything you're taught today is like total bullshit. I can tell you that right now. Now, I can tell you, though, that I think the Confederate flag should be protected not only as an historic symbol, but also as a religious symbol. It is a flag that has no political connotation today. And unlike some other flags or something where a lot of times they try to associate the Confederate flag with the Nazi flag, which I'm saying I don't see where the hell that comes from. But the flag that is with the South is non-political. It's only regional, and it's basically a modification of the American flag with the cross of St. Andrew. And primarily, the main feature of that flag is that X. that X that's on that flag, like you'll see on Florida. Now, Florida, this is a political flag, but say you took the seal away and you just had an X on it, that would be, what, a flag that's, I don't know, it's a cross of St. Andrew. That's all it is. It's actually a religious symbol. That's exactly what this is. It's the cross of St. Andrew. You got the Jesus Christ cross, the crucifixion cross, and you have the Apostle St. Andrew crucifixion cross, which he said he was not worthy of being crucified in the same manner as Jesus. So I think the Confederate flag could be protected as a religious symbol besides a cultural symbol and an historic symbol. I think historic symbol should be the least emphasis on. I mean, I would emphasize it anyway. But when people fly the Confederate flag, actually, they fly it due to a cultural, regional thing. They don't fly it over history. They don't fly it over, this is our ancestry or something. They don't even think about that. What they're thinking about is it's a Southern thing. It's a regional thing. That's all that freaking means. And why the flag has that symbol where it's a big X in the middle, which is like everybody sees that X and they say, people now they see that X. Oh, that must be racist. Oh, an X, it's racist. No, it's the cross of St. Andrew. It's all that is. That's all that is. Now, if you want to argue that people have done things under religious symbols and they've done bad things under religious symbols, and that means all these symbols are bad, well, we could ban every single religious symbol out there. We can ban any pop cultural symbol out there because there's a lot of pop cultural symbols out there that people have done bad things for around, or even, certain words can be banned or something or anything, or even certain colors of the rainbow could be banned or anything. You name it. If somebody did something with something or that had a symbol for something and that meant something initially, and somebody bad came along and took that symbol and says, "Oh, that's I say it means this, and I'm going to do something bad now," and you can ban it for that reason. You can ban anything. The United States of America stands for freedom of expression, number one. That's the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. And the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is the right to bear arms by individuals, and the people themselves are the militia. That is why we have an effective fighting force, because the people of America are the militia, and they're familiar with firearms before they go into the military, and they probably get less training in the military than they did prior to when they went in the military and when they did a lot of target shooting and hunting. And that's a fact, Jack. So I'm going to tell you, though, that we the people will not stand for petty dictators. And I just want to put this out as me, the one that's putting this out. I do not mean to offend anybody, because some people might possibly offended because they've been conditioned to see this X, well, not this X or not that X. Where's that X? Where's that X at? This X. This X as a bad thing, which means you're some kind of hater or something. It doesn't mean that. It means you're a Southerner. You like mud trucks and you like barbecues and everything and all that other stuff, And I never gave a damn about this flag too much until they freaking said, they try to make it like, oh, it's a bad thing. Like the spoof comedy, goofy TV show they used to have out there, the Dukes of Hazzard. They don't show that on reruns anymore or something on television. Oh, get the hell out of here, man. That show is so inoffensive. It's so stupid. It's so funny. Actually, I think the only thing wrong with that show is, like some of the actors said, the people that are writing the script were like lame. They could have wrote a better script in that show. But it was kind of funny. It's just, this is just a cultural symbol. You go to NASCAR, you go to these mud races, and I don't go to NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan. I'm like a Yankee in a lot of ways, but I realize what's going on here, man. And a lot of people up north have been conditioned just like this. And don't think they can't condition you. If they show you enough, they keep repeating you. Oh, look at this guy over here in the South with this flag, and look what he's yelling and chanting, and look what he's doing. They keep showing that one individual, and they keep showing that over and over and over again. After a while, you associate that flag with something that generally that flag is not about for most people at all. But why are they doing it? Because you know what? This flag was one of the times that basically the South fought for the same thing that the United States of America fought for when we broke away from the British. Except the South was getting screwed on taxes many times over what King George was doing to the North, to the 13 colonies back in the 1700s, 1770s with the tea tax. The tea tax was, I think, under 5% or something like that. It was some real low amount. The tax on cotton, what was that, 30%, 25, 30%? It was ridiculous. And the tea tax was only going up a little bit. It was only on tea. What they were trying to do to the South was they were trying to freaking screw them right to the wall and tax the hell out of their main product and add all these other products to the tax roll because Wall Street up north got in problems. Well, you know what? This flag, the spirit of this flag, is the same type of spirit that will fight against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So hopefully, I would like to see this flag of not just be adopted by the South, but also by the North, also by people that are of color, that are been in this country a long time, that have been true blue Americans forever. Because the guys on the top, mainly guys on the top, are conditioning people and setting people at each other's throats so they can control us. So, you know, if you look at this flag, I want you to, when you look at this X, to also realize they chose this X because it's the cross of St. Andrew. And they chose the obvious red, white, and blue with the stars because it was like the U.S. flag. There was nothing like hate about it. No intention of hate about this flag from day one. Now, they were fighting against Yankees. They were doing that. I know that. And I'm sure the rebels didn't like the Yankees, and the Yankees didn't like the rebels. But, you know, that's the way war is, right? That's the way war is. So I just want to bring another angle on things out here because I'm going to continue to fight on this subject every once in a while because, you know, even though I'm a northerner from very close to New York City, I used to be able to walk up the hill from my house and see the Empire State Building out there in the distance, no problem. It was like under a dozen miles away by the way the crow flies, man. I'm not really, even though I got southern lineage on one part of my parentage going back, you know, I wasn't raised or brainwashed into this stuff at all. I was actually brainwashed into the Yankee way of thinking about this flag. So I'm telling you right out that, you know, I'm coming from it from not a fan of, you know, NASCAR or barbecues or anything like that. I'm coming from it as a accurate historical angle. And I'm also telling you that the elite are playing games with us, we the people, and they're trying to put us at each other's throats for their own benefit. And they fear this flag because this flag represents a time when the people were fighting big government taxation and the powers of centralized Washington, D.C. to dictate to the states, you know, all policies that they are not allowed to do by the Constitution because the Constitution is supposed to limit government. A lot of stuff going on. So I've been pretty lengthy on this, but hopefully I've been clear because there's been a long decades amount of propaganda against this flag And people are just immensely conditioned that when they see this flag, it means something. They got a connotation in their head that it means bad things, and it doesn't mean that. It could be that bad people have adopted this flag, but then again, like I said before, bad people have adopted many symbols that in themselves don't mean innately something bad. And this flag just means the cross of St. Andrew and the United States of America. That's all it is. It's a Southern cultural symbol.